Morning, mgtow. Most of us men who have decided to walk away from society and relationships have had a bad experience at one time or another. Or some of us have seen a friend or a family member whose life was ruined by a 304. For me, it was a lot of little things and too many big things that sent me packing. Uh, but I've got an article today that talks about some of the little things that women do. Let's check it out. It's from Your Tango. It says, "The Five Little Things Women Unknowingly Do to Push Men Away" by Clayton Olson. We all know the story of how relationships begin. You see a guy in a bar or in a library or at the grocery store. Your eyes meet, your heart races, he smiles, you smile. You go out and have a nice time. You go on a second date. He says he'll call and he actually does. And he doesn't even wait 3 days for it. After you see each other for a few more times, you start to think this could be the beginning of something great, something real. And then end scene. He stops calling. He ignores texts. He disappears from the face of the earth. You begin to wonder if you'll find his sweet face on a milk carton. Or he does return your texts, but he stops initiating them on his own and grows more and more distant without explanation. Well, that's how it goes, you know. You meet somebody and you decide to try again. But after a few dates, you realize why you were single in the first place. Because he won't say why he ghosted, you're left in the difficult position of trying to guess. Often this result is you repeating the same self-defeating patterns, because how can you learn from something no one ever explains? Well, this is true, man. I dated a girl for a while. Nice girl, strong girl. But let's just say her hygiene needed addressing. I had no idea how to bring it up. You know, what do? Do I buy a douche and put it on the counter and walk away? I don't know. I just ghosted her. One of the main reasons a man pulls away is something women tend to do called filling the space. This is how it works. When two people meet, there's a space between the two of them, and they each take turns stepping into that space. They may step into it with their words, their presence, or their actions. If the woman is the predominant space filler, the dynamic is imbalanced. The guy gets turned off and he doesn't know exactly why. But there is a reason behind the madness. If you're a space filler in the relationship, you're likely to be a leader or initiator in the dating dynamic. There's nothing wrong with these qualities. The world needs strong women. However, when it comes to dating, particularly the early stages of dating, this unbalance can declaw the man, at least in his mind. So women are space fillers. This is brilliant, man. You know, when they take up too much space with their drama or IKEA furniture, men feel crowded and their life is out of balance. A man who doesn't feel that there's any room for him to be masculine or directive will dislike this dynamic. He reluctantly takes a back seat and ultimately pulls away from the relationship. It's not that he has to be in control, but there needs to be a balance. When you are the one in charge, he feels inferior. All people, by nature, shy away from things that make them feel less than. So, by denying a man of his desire to be masculine, he withdraws from the relationship. You know, it works the same way in society. You deny me my natural desires, and I'll go find them elsewhere. Okay, and these are the five ways women push away by filling the space. The first two are pretty self explanatory: texting more frequently than him and sending him long texts while replies are brief and boring. But the third one says trying to grab his attention using physical intimacy. Overt sexuality at the beginning of a relationship, especially before you've had a chance to get to know his character, is a turnoff, despite what we've learned from every movie ever. When you throw yourself at a guy you basically don't know anything about, you risk losing his trust and communicating to him that you're not worthy of the chase. Well, it's the chase that matters. I mean, when you meet somebody, you want to feel like you've earned their love and their respect. When a woman just gives it to you, it feels like it's just your turn. And the fourth one is doing too much of the talking. Does silence make you uncomfortable? Do you often have something to say or comment upon? It's fantastic to bring animation and conversation to a relationship. Otherwise, it's just sex and staring at a blank wall. But if you find yourself interjecting into silences just because you feel uncomfortable, your words become a barrier to intimacy rather than a facilitator of it. That's what they do. These females, when they start to feel uncomfortable, they have this need to make everyone else around them feel uncomfortable too. And the last one is asking so many questions that make you feel like a police interrogator. Are your questions in regards to the nature of your relationship, such as where it's going and what he's thinking? Questions of this nature at the onset of a relationship come across as desperate and controlling. That isn't to say that you can't discuss what you're each looking for, but make sure the discussion is reciprocal, rather than making him feel as though you're shining a light in his face as he sits in a cold, dank room complete with two-way mirror. Now, these questions, what are you thinking? How do you feel? Females have this constant need for interaction and validation. The moral of the story is simple. Cultivating relationships takes patience, and your ability to let him lead is a virtue and a necessity. That's the first thing I've heard in this whole article that makes sense. Men are leaders. Women who are patient enough to follow one are necessary. Even more, it's a virtue. Hopefully, they're waking up to this before they outlaw us. But we walk away for a lot of reasons, some big, some small. We come to the point where giving up any part of ourselves becomes impossible. I will not settle. I will be free in this life or the next. But this is just my opinion. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon.